Welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. My name is Lüning, Horst Lüning. I'm the master taster of Whisky.com, and today we have the minimum pricing of spirits or of alcoholic beverages in the UK. No, not really the UK, in Scotland. There is a new law in place in Scotland from May the 1st, 2018, and it was in very big discussion over the last 5 years, and discussion is even a little bit too weak. They went to court and they went to the European Court of Justice. And after 5 years of struggle, the European Court of Justice said, well, a minimum pricing of alcoholic beverages is possible in Scotland and applies to European rules. Well, the Brexit is not in place already. And then people said, well, now the government is taking money away from us. Again, we already have an alcohol tax. We already have a value-added tax. Why do we have another tax on that? And no, sorry, this is no tax. You have to look in particular at the different taxes applied on whiskey. In Scotland, there's at first a tax on pure alcohol. You have the volume of a bottle, 0.7 liters. You multiply it with the ABV in percent, typically 40%. So you have 0.7 times 0.4 equals 0.28 liters of pure alcohol, and then you multiply this 0.28 with the alcohol tax, and this is, I've looked it up, 28.74 pounds sterling on a pure liter of alcohol. So this is the first tax on whiskey or on spirits or on alcoholic beverages. And if you have a beer with 5%, a full liter, then you have 5% whiskey alcohol in it, and those 5% will be only taxed with 5% of those 28.74 pounds sterling, which is £1.40 something. So this is the first. This is a direct alcohol tax which is applied proportionally to the alcoholic beverages. This is different in Central Europe, particularly in Germany, where we have no alcoholic tax on wine, nothing at all. And if you have a look at beer, then there is a malt tax on it, and if you figure it out, then the tax on beer is half the amount of the tax on spirits regarding to the content of alcohol in the alcoholic beverage. So, and on top of that, there's a VAT. In the UK, the VAT has been for long years 15%, then they went up to 17.5%, and during the financial crisis, they reduced it to 15 again to not take away too much money from the economy. And then later on they added to 17.5 again, and from 2011 they added more, up to 20% of VAT. So you have this alcoholic tax on it, and then or spirits tax on it, and then you add the VAT on it, and this brings you to the selling price of the whiskey. And if you look at the shelves, then you see that you are able to find a bottle of spirit, of cheap gin, vodka, or a little bit more expensive whiskey of around, say, 7 to 8 pounds. This is the minimum. And if you reduce that amount by the VAT, by the alcoholic tax, then you end up with £1 or £1.50 for the bottle, the screw cap, the whiskey in it, the label, card box, the shipping box, and the profit, all the labor and the profit, the shipping itself and the profit in the supermarket. So this is very, very cheap, and therefore a lot of people buy that cheap alcohol and give them quite a shot, and from time to time they give themselves a final shot. So, and there the minimum pricing takes effect. They say, well, we don't want to tax you even further. The tax on the spirits tax or the alcoholic tax rose 3.9% in the last year due to price increases. And for tobacco, they increase it at about 5.9% in the UK. They say, well, that's enough, but we order that you demand from the customer a minimum price. And the minimum price is on a unit of alcohol. And the unit, what's that? Well, there is from the Ministry of Social Affairs and Health and something, they have figured out a scheme which is, well, I think adopted from the World Health Organization, and they say a male adult should not consume more than 14 units a week. That's the maximum. And female 7 or to 10 or something. So this should be the maximum alcohol intake over a year, over a week. And then they broke everything down and found out that 10 milliliters of pure alcohol is a unit. And if you have 0.7 liters in a bottle, sorry, this one is a liter bottle, and multiply that by 40% ABV, you end up at 0.28 liters pure alcohol. And those 0.28 liters are 280 milliliters. You divide that by 10 milliliters per unit, you end up with 28 units for this bottle. And every unit has to be priced with 50 pence, half a pound. So this bottle with 28 units in it should cost 14 pounds at least. It had been 8 something. So the price increase is hefty, and there all this struggle began because the Scotch Whisky Association said this will be very, very harmful to our sales inside Scotland. And the UK, or the England, as part of the UK, said, well, we will not adopt those 50 pence. And I'm not quite sure, I didn't look up the numbers. I think 18 pence is the minimum pricing in the moment for a unit of alcohol. So the struggle was big, and well, the Scots say 50 pence, and for the people going to the pub ordering a beer or two, this won't harm, because the prices for all that labor, for the rent, for the pub, for all the equipment in it, for lighting, heating and everything, this adds up to more than 50p per unit sold. So there's no particular problem inside pubs, but for the people buying whiskey cheap or buying spirits and alcoholic beverages cheap in the supermarket, there they have a problem. And in a bottle of red wine, there are typically 9.4 units. In a 4-pack of lager, each 0.5 liter at 4% ABV, there are 8 units in it. And so prices add up, and there will be a struggle how those prices are divided by the producers, the wholesale dealers, and the retailers. So there is more money now in the system, which may be divided, and I hope the watchdog looks into everything so that the dealers have their fair share with this price increase, and that not everything goes to the big corporations. so that everybody in the spreading of whiskey will get a fair share of that minimum pricing. Yeah, there are different chances that whiskey prices will go up in the rest of the world. Well, there is the Brexit coming up, and that will, well, mix things up again, because the ruling of the European Court of Justice will no longer apply to that. Probably they will apply for the next round in court at the, well, what's called the Royal Court of Justice in London, probably. I have no idea how they are called. And looking over that again, and there might be some tariffs between countries after the Brexit. The European community typically has high entry taxes, as you could see with the cars. If the US is importing a car into Europe, they have to pay 10% on tariffs, and if the European community ships cars into the US, they only have to pay 2.5. That's not okay. Well, it was calculated, cars are expensive, therefore other things are cheaper, and they did a whole mix-up of everything, and now I think it is time to sort things out, to have fair taxes going in and out for the same products, so that the world will be a more fair place. Yeah, so we will see how things will develop. If you go to Scotland, nothing will change for you. The whiskey, the dram in the distillery will cost the same as before. For a dram with 1 or 2 units in it, they should ask for £1. They will charge you between 5 and 12, because there's the tour, and they're able to change that in between. If you go into the pub, everything will cost the same. Just if you go into the supermarket and will have a cheap whiskey, then things start to add up. And the more expensive bottles, everything above £14, and nearly every bottle of fine Scotch malt whiskey will be more expensive than £14, will change nothing, really nothing. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. There's more to come.